Recently, humans have been so determined to discover the secrets hidden in the cosmos that they seem to have forgotten the tremendous enigma that lies right here on Earth. The sea has always been just as intriguing, if not more, than the sky itself, delivering to us over hundreds of years the strangest stories that many of you may not have heard of. Disturbing and mysterious cases that will surely leave you wondering, and which in this video you will have the opportunity to know. Today we present the creepiest mysteries that occurred on the high seas. We start this video with disturbing footage recorded in the early 50s, but which only came to light in the mid-80s. An honestly strange video, a footage that in its images recorded the last hours of the only survivor of the sinking Soviet cargo ship called Vega, a ship whose track was lost in the Indian Ocean in 1949, and whose survivors were never found. The recording begins with the face of this man in the foreground, showing him in a lifeboat with some food and alone, in the middle of the ocean, recording what appears to be the remains of the Vega floating in the sea. Equipped with an 8mm camera, the subject records small videos that show his day-to-day on the lifeboat. It even shows the marks he makes counting the days he's at sea. Although he knows that he is in a complex situation, he seems optimistic, perhaps thinking that he would soon be rescued. Nonetheless, his full video shows that the reality would be far from that. He indicates in his language that he will record less and less to save as much battery as possible. This is how, as the footage progresses, the first signs of exhaustion begin to notice. His face looks haggard, his food is reduced, and life expectancy seems to vanish. It is here where the inexplicable becomes present. The days go on, but incredibly the man inexplicably improves his aspect, and it is strange that on several occasions he records his food supply that remains intact, showing that he has not eaten any food from his reserves. But his mood seems to be better than ever, as if someone was helping him in some way. Perhaps the most shocking of all is when it was about to be a month since the shipwreck. The subject records that in the distance there is a boat that could have been his salvation from that agony. However, and contrary to all logic, the man does not make any feint to be rescued. He even puts a smoke flare away that is used for such a moment. What is happening? The last thing the camera recorded, incredibly, was the subject who abandoned the boat and began to swim in the middle of the ocean. As you can see, towards nothingness, the small boat was found stranded on the coast of Madagascar, where the camera with this disturbing recording was discovered. It was more than 40 days in which this man was able to record his journey on the high seas, from his first mark to his departure in the middle of the ocean, taking with him not only his testimony about the shipwreck of the freighter, but also his baffling experience. The man was never found. Number 4. It is impossible to believe, but today, in the 21st century, and with all the technology available, there are still a large number of ships that, regardless of their size, one day set sail and never come back. Imposing freighters that is not known for sure what happened to them. This is the case of the Sam Ratalangi, a huge ship of 177 meters and more than 26,000 tons that disappeared one day from the face of the earth. You see, after 8 years of successful operations, travel and freight, this ship one day just got lost. It was heard from last one night in 2009 before disappearing in an area that coincidentally is the same where Malaysia Airline Flight 370 went missing in 2014. Both the ship and its crew disappeared completely. However, despite the striking news, it did not have much coverage by the press. Indeed, many searches were carried out. Their relatives demanded to know what had happened to the ship, but they did not get any answers. Nobody got them. Nothing was known for 9 long years, when suddenly this freighter reappeared on the coast of Vietnam. Very dirty and deteriorated, it returned from the high seas, leaving all those who watched it from the coast undaunted. The impact was so great that for reasons of superstition, many Coast Guard officers simply refused to board it. It was practically a ghost ship, an impact that grew even more when a small group of people who dared to board the ship were surprised to find that the entire crew had disappeared. There was no trace of them. They didn't even find corpses. Despite being lost for 9 years, the freighter looked in order as if the crew were still there. This enigmatic case left big questions unanswered, such as, why couldn't Coast Guards throughout Asia find the whereabouts of such a large ship, despite so much technology at their disposal? What made its structure stay afloat for so many years? And most importantly, what happened to the crew? Unknowns that until now, no one has been able to answer. Number 3. The following corresponds not only to a story, but to a recording which came to me from the hands of the same person who recorded it. Her name is Catalina Paredes, one of our subscribers who from the city of Valdivia in the south of Chile wrote to my email recounting an experience that, in her own words, has been the strangest thing she's ever lived. She says that she owns a house near the beach and that one night while watching television, she began to hear a very loud and intense sound, like the buzzing of something magnetic that from the outside echoed everywhere. At first, she thought it was a truck or a very large machine. However, when she went outside and toured the area with her family, they did not find any vehicle. She says that an infinite frequency could even be felt in her chest. It shook her. They arrived home with the feeling of having experienced a puzzling but specific phenomena, and that therefore it would not be repeated. They never imagined that a few days later they would feel that buzz again, this time in broad daylight. It was then that Catalina took out her phone and began recording from her home, hoping this time to capture the sound. At least on video, she never imagined that apart from hearing it, she would also see it. Observe.
Cuando se quede dormido. Tonto. Él es un soñador. Y en el momento en que se dé cuenta, será nuestra perdición. ¿Qué quiere que haga? Tráeme al niño antes de que descubra sus verdaderos poderes y haga pedazos mi nuevo reino.
Tráeme al niño. ¿Pasó o no? No, todavía sigue. Yo voy a hacer algo. Yo digo que es una lenta.
As you can see, a strange whitish figure seems to float above the surface of the water without touching it. In the words of our subscriber, it remained there for around 10 minutes, along with that strange sound that she had heard only nights before. She assures me that it was not a bird, nor a drone. It was a large object like a car, but with the width of 2 fingers. Do you know what is most odd? She said that at that moment the loud and deep buzzing was heard again. It made her chest vibrate once more. However, can you manage to hear something on the recording? No, right?
¿Pasó o no? No, todavía sigue.
And that is what surprises Catalina the most. The sound was so strong and loud that it should have been heard on the video. But it wasn't. She tells me that then, as if by magic, it just vanished. Although she cannot be sure, she believes that what appears in the image corresponds to a UFO, an alien ship that was carrying out exploration work in that location. Do you think that this is indeed the case? Do you have any other theories to explain this recording? Leave it in the comments. Number 2. The oceans are said to be a true Pandora's box. That the number of species that we know today represent only a tiny fraction of what really exists. A figure that becomes even smaller and insignificant when we think of the so-called abysses or ocean trenches. Many think that these practically unexplored places could protect enormous marine species not yet discovered. In fact, for some, this affirmation is so real and accurate that they have ventured to say that the largest species that inhabits the earth has not yet been seen by the human eye. And that clear proof of that is in the disturbing audio that you will hear in the next few minutes. Captured by the National Oceanic or Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, it was baptized as Julia, a colossal and intense roar coming from the depths of the ocean. A sound described as so beastly that, according to what they say, it not only alerted the US Navy, but also the Russian and Japanese Navy, who were impressed to also capture this sound with their instruments. Pay attention. There are those who theorize that probably the delicate NOAA devices captured what was the sighting of an iceberg near Antarctica, but this was nothing more than an improvised theory. For many, Julia was something more. A marine biologist guesses that this terrifying sound has the characteristics of being an animal, and that if so, he estimates that it should be at least 762 meters long, something twice as long as the Empire State Building. Can you imagine something of that size moving in the depths of the ocean? Can you imagine what its appearance would be like? The most shocking and chilling of all is that, believe it or not, there is an image circulating that was supposedly taken the same day that the NOAA recorded Julia, a satellite image captured by NASA that, according to some, could be of that which emitted that abominable sound. What do you think? Will both Julia and this image be the most tangible evidence of the existence of large creatures living in the depths of the ocean? Leave it in the comments. Number 1. We conclude this video with a case that even after years continues to impress everyone who hears of it. The boat you are seeing was recorded by a GoPro camera worn by a Coast Guard who, along with his colleagues, spotted a yacht sailing aimlessly in early 2016. The agents, surprised by the irregular situation, surrounded the ship, took photographs, and sent them to their base so that they could investigate who it belonged to. The information that arrived was that the owner of the ship was a 59-year-old German citizen named Manfred Fritz, a Marine veteran who, since his widowhood, he spent the last 20 years sailing around the world. Once he was found, in just minutes after approaching him, this was the lifeguard's reaction.
Personne à bord? Nobody on board? Tu me reçois? Olivier, tu me reçois? Ok, je descends dans le bateau, après il n'y a personne à bord. Ah, fuck! Olivier!
Manfred Fritz was found in this state. The Coast Guard thought that the man had been dead for at least 7 years. In fact, some media outlets rushed to report exactly that. But they were deeply mistaken. As soon as the Coast Guard saw the subject's body, they immediately noticed extremely strange things. First, the food in the fridge was still fresh, and the yacht, despite showing signs of neglect, did not look like it had been adrift for 7 years. If that were the case, it would already have been on the seabed due to a storm and lack of maintenance. The police investigation continued, and a shocking fact was revealed. There were people who claimed to have had contact with Manfred at different docks just a few months ago. How could he have been dead for 7 years? And if this were not enough, when submitting the body to an autopsy, the procedure determined that the German had been dead for only 1 week. As you can imagine, the faces of all the researchers went pale. It was illogical, since the same autopsy also determined that the corpse showed clear signs of mummification, signs that only appear in bodies that have been dead for decades or even hundreds of years. What was it that happened here? Theories appeared regarding this case, theories that pointed to the saltiness of the environment which caused his body to mummify so quickly. Others still believe that there is a mystery surrounding this case, a case that, like the others you saw in this video, represents just a small proof of the mysteries that are hidden and that occur beyond what we can see from the beach. I hope you liked this video, because we have come to an end. My name